And they better not comment negatively anyway.
Get pictures.
Oh, there's worse ones than that out there. For the record. So, for you guys, Betty called this morning or text, I guess this afternoon, she's not feeling well, so she's not gonna make it. And then Ron had reached out to me 2 weeks ago and had a conflict with about the time that he got his budget packet in the mail. But except he probably wouldn't have opened it then, so, but anyways, he's not gonna make it either, so it's just the use. All right, acting chair, you're on.
You were the vice chair last year, okay?
What?
I told you.
I wouldn't have to do anything. What?
If you call it to order, the first thing you gotta do is elect a budget committee chairman, so.
How did I get this
Well,
position?
you were vice chair last year. And
Are
then,
you sure?
Yes, unfortunately, it's right
And he-
here.
I'll call this meeting to order.
Nice job.
kick you guys out of here.
Then what?
Then your first order of business is you need to elect a chair.
Unless you
let
want.
someone
If
new.
someone-
Yeah.
Unless you want to keep your title.
No, I
Vice chair.
prefer to pass this honor on. So let's, we're open for.
Open for nominations.
A lot of choices.
Okay, so I don't have to do it. I'll make a motion that Justin is chair.
Then we won't have to have system. And then move that Justin be the new chair. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well done, Kay.
Do we have a nomination for vice chair?
I nominate Michelle.
Second. Second. Okay, Michelle was our vice chair.
Yeah, vote on it first.
We gotta vote on it first. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Okay. You want me to go through these minutes? Is that my job?
You just have to ask our motion as, because they should have
Because we
already
should have
read it,
already read them. We have a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting last year.
So moved.
Second. We have a second. Thank you. Motion voted and carried. Is that right?
well, you got to call for a vote. You got the first one. Yeah.
We call vote.
All those in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Good?
Yep.
All right.
Okay, new business. So we are, I apologize for this part. It's the rules, so yes, I'm gonna read you the budget message that I wrote, and it's not short. But it does give a summary of the budget and a summary of where we're at. So you guys have already read it and love listening to my melodious voice, so I will read it for you. The Oakland School District budget message is intended to provide a summary of the proposed budget and how this budget differs from the prior year. In developing this budget, our focus continues to be directly tied to the district's mission. Pandemic is in our rearview mirror. We are still working to fill in the learning gaps created by the time away from school. We have exceeded our pre-pandemic attendance numbers, and these extra students have helped our funding numbers, but also bring some challenges with being as full as we currently are. The budget is built on an official estimate by the Oregon Department of Education issued in March of 2026. 25-27 biennium budget and state school fund distributions are predicted at $11.3 billion state appropriation. Biennium is split 49-51, so next year, being the second year of the biennium, Oakland will receive 51% of the state school fund appropriation. Over the years, Oakland School District has been very conservative in our budgeting process and has been able to build a healthy ending fund balance and reserve. Oregon Citizens passed two additional school funding sources in 2019, the Student Success Act and the High School Success Act. They were both fully funded this year with Oakland's SIA, SSA allocations at $728,000. That's 27,000 less than before, 27 more than it was originally allocated by ODE last year. We've hired counselors at each school and an on-site behavioral health instructional assistant and skills trainer to help meet the social, emotional, and behavioral needs of our students. We also hired an additional music and art teacher to expand those programs into the elementary grades. Oakland also benefits greatly from our high school success funding at $201,722,000, $79.11 more than last year. Our high school success funding has enabled OHS to purchase Chromebooks and other technology, as well as build an expansion of our metal and wood shop for our career technical education program. We also added 2 storage buildings for our CTE supplies and purchased a sawmill to help mill wood for the shop. We are also hoping to move on to the development of a culinary arts CTE program that will also use these funds. Both of these sources are yearly allocations. This year's budget is showing the continued effects of our increased enrollment. While many other districts are being forced to cut staff and take furlough days due to decreased enrollment and ESSER funds sunsetting, we are not in that position. While we are being mindful of the future and possible budget issues coming from the state, we are putting that extra money from increased students back into the schools in a variety of ways. Last year, we added IA positions at OHS, OMS, and OES. We also added developmental learning classroom, a DLC, at OES. That was 1 teacher plus 2 to 3 IAs. A special education program serving students with significant developmental or intellectual disabilities. DLC focuses on life skills, communication development, and foundational skills, pre-academic skills, and academics that are often highly modified, while supporting general education participation. This addition has helped ease the burdens on our OES resource room and the staff who are balancing an extreme range of service and behavioral needs. This budget does not add any new personnel for next year. We are making another large transfer into capital improvements in order to continue to try and improve the infrastructure of our facilities. We've improved our softball area, developed and fenced in the area behind the bleachers, expanded some paving at the middle school, are completing more seismic projects, and are nearing completion of the new middle school gym. With this transfer, we are hoping to add bathrooms to the far side of the track, add a safety vestibule to the entryway of OMS, have money to add to the OHS classroom seismic, to update long haul bathrooms, as well as lighting at OHS, and continue to add exterior lighting and some more paving to campus. Technology is also getting a large transfer. This will allow us to start a rotation of replacing Chromebooks, staff computers that are going out, and upgrading and repairing the ViewSonics that we have in each classroom. We've also adopted social studies curriculum for next year and are keeping on pace with all the scheduled textbook adoptions. These are all the investments into our school to continue to offer the best possible educational experience we can. Oakland will continue to be conservative in our budget planning without minimizing services to our students and staff. It's our goal to preserve our educational system over time to the best of our ability. So in summary of that, our budget's in great shape, mostly because we have a large number of students. We are at the highest enrollment that we've been, I'm not going to say ever, but ever since I've been here. And we've taken that extra money and put it back into our facilities. We're able to do that again. Last year, we did a split on adding to our facilities and adding personnel. We added IAs in all the buildings, added the DLC classroom and so forth. Feel like we are stocked really well, we're staffed really well in all buildings, so we are not adding any additional staff this year. We instead are making the big transfers, and we'll talk about that as Corey goes through her budget presentation. We're adding money into technology so we can get on a rotation, catch up a little bit and get on a rotation. We made big purchases in our Chromebooks, ViewSonics, all of that technology started right before COVID hit and then continued on through COVID. And so those Chromebooks are aging out. Some of those teacher computers are aging out. ViewSonics are having some problems. So we need to get on a rotation to start upgrading those. So put the extra money into technology. And I'd say this year, I won't say it could be our last. We're hoping for one more year that we can do one last big transfer into facilities and continue our capital projects. We really are well over the halfway point, minus even with the seismics, we're over halfway, but trying to wrap up those last little projects and kind of get the buildings dialed in for our future for the next 75 years before we should go to this again. We are curbing. We're not looking to grow. We're not trying to grow. We have 8 of our 13 grade levels are closed right now. We'll reopen all of those because we have to, by law, reopen them all to start next year, but some of those might be closed even before the school year starts. So we're monitoring those grade levels closely. I guess one thing that did make the budget message, we did add right at the end of the summer last year. We got our numbers on our grades 2 and 3 were both right at 60. And so that was 4 classes of 30. So we added a 2-3. We were able to hire a 2-3 teacher and do a blend, but I think we have 18 kids in there. So we were able to pull almost 5 kids out of each classroom. So drop those numbers down to more acceptable. A blend brings a different set of challenges, but we were able to get through there. A couple of hiccups early, but for the most part, made it go through really well at this point. And this budget includes keeping that blend teacher, just moving them up to a 34 blend for next year. So with that, I'll hand it over to Corey. She'll go through her presentation. I have a couple of things to add as we go along, but that's the highlights of it.
So I put a new presentation on your space in front of you because if you're like my dad, you want to be able to see it up close. Sometimes the screen can't be seen. So first thing I want to go over is this will actually be cool. There. Okay. Budget committee roles and responsibilities. So again, the budget committee's job is to receive the budget message and the budget document, provide members of the public the opportunity to ask questions and comment upon the budget and the document, approve the budget document, and refers it to the school board for adoption. And the budget committee can make changes to any line item in the budget to meet the goals and programs outlined. But the budget committee cannot change rules on staffing levels, salary schedules, or negotiate contracts. So, no personal changes. There is a correction to your budget on page 69. After I had printed it, I realized that interfunds transfer should read 100,000. And resources and beginning fund balance should read 60. That would be in your textbook. Slide. Fund 205. Does not change the grand total for revenue in that fund. It just moves it. Moving on. So I just always put this out here for you guys to remind you of the differences between the funds from the state. Always 100 is general fund and accounts for the fiscal resources and expenditures that the district are not legally contracted required to report to a separate fund, like food service is 299, federal is 201. General fund is what makes the school function. That is always what general fund is. Special revenue funds, which is where you see a majority of our transfers, go support services for students and initiatives that fall outside the scope of the general operations. These funds are designated to manage federal and state and local resources, which is why it has all the interfund transfers allocated for special purposes. So once they go in the 200, we can't take them back out and put them in 100. It's in its own little nesty spot. The debit service for our Fund 300 accounts for the accumulation of resources and payments of general long-term debt, principal, and interest. That's where our bond payment comes out of. Let's see, capital funds, 400, that's Jeff's favorite right now, is the accounting of fiscal resources used to acquire and construct major capital facilities projects. So that's why we put so much in there, because there's so much that is being worked on at the moment. 600 is our internal service funds. That is going to be our Oakland's unemployment fund. We keep that separate as per ODE guidelines, so that if we have staff that leave or go on summer break and they get unemployment, it's in its own separate thing. It's not part of general fund. And then our trust fund 700 is going to be our scholarship fund, where we have been entrusted with funds from other people to give out the scholarships, and we hold them. We don't want to have them in general fund, in a special revenue fund. They actually have to be in a trust fiduciary fund, which according to ODE is 700 funds. What's noteworthy? Fund 100 general fund, as continually for the last 3 years, in our budget cycle, our planned contingency and reserve are each at $500,000, meaning that if we spent everything down to the penny in our budget, there would be $1 million left over for next year. We always want to keep a minimum around $1 million because we are a large school. It's like you have 3 months of payroll covered in that. On grant funds, our 204, our major funds that are budgeted are Title I, IDEA, 611. Then we have High School Success, Student Success Act. All of Jeff's lovely seismic grants are all in Fund 204. So everything is separate over in that fund. Technology fund is our transfer, is going to have 75,000 transfer to start the rotation of replacing technology equipment, which is, you're going to notice in our, if you read your budget, it goes from $10,000 to 75,000 because there's so much stuff that needs to get moving every single year. And that's a large bump for us, but there is money there. Building improvements for the 400, as Jeff already said, we're doing 550,000 transfer budget to accommodate the goals of having the long-term facility plan in place. Our budgeted funds for this next coming year is going to be our general fund at $12,488,100. Our special revenue funds, which is all the 200 funds where we have allocated and set aside money for these certain things, is going to be $10,740,000. Wow, 104. Our debt service fund, which is our bond payment, is going to be $449,567. Our capital improvement fund is going to be $2,015,000. So I split those out so that you can see those numbers might actually be higher than what here than what is going to have to be in that fund, because we're kind of waiting. The bond is done, the building is up. We're just waiting on payments to come out or the invoices to come to us so we can get them out. So we have $1,560,000 for capital projects and $455,000 of bond proceeds. That is all that is left in the bond proceeds. We have done really well this last year getting stuff sent out. Unemployment fund is at $270,256, and our scholarship fund is at $502,794, which is a very large number.
That's mostly due to that last scholarship we got 2 years ago from the parent memorial.
Yeah.
Twice, maybe 3 times.
3 years? 3 years.
Times, and those are $40,000 a pop, so it's going down, but we have to have that spent in a X amount of time. So that's why that fund looks so big. Because unfortunately, we can't spend it fast enough. It's growing interest, and it's that we're working on.
It goes about $10,000 interest a year. General revenue breakout, which is our next page, is our general fund. So state school fund is our amount that we get from the state. It's $7.5 million, which make up 53.6% of our general fund. Most of our funding comes straight from the state for general fund. Our beginning fund balance is 2.45, and that is 17.5%, which is a pretty good beginning fund balance. And our taxes that are coming in locally is at 1.9 million. So we have quite a bit of revenue coming in, but you'll see we've got quite a bit of money going out. Just on this for the state school fund, just to touch on this, I put this together. This is the state school fund formula whereas, we say we have so many students in our school. And you'll see this graph, you'll have an AMDR and an AMDW. So what that means is AMDR is your real butts in seats versus AMDW, which is your weighted. So your weighted is your average daily membership adjusted to if you've got students with disabilities, if you've got English second learners, if you've got high poverty, where it's SPED students, that is where that weighted comes in because each student has different weights to them. So you'll see that we've got what did we say? 660 is this year, but you can see that number up here in the AMDW is way higher up here at 853. So we get paid for that. We estimate every single year though, based on 600 students. If things fluctuate, things go wrong, our budget is based on real ADMR 600 students and seats, which would be weighted 774. So where we're at really and where we budget is very conservatively, knowing if something is to happen, we're covered.
When we do that build on 600, we've been staying at 600 for quite some time. Obviously, the year when we dipped down to 550, whatever that right over 550 when after COVID, we I had to adjust, had to make major cuts because we were in so low in students. So because we rose above that again, we've stayed right at 600 as that conservative budgeting number. If we end next year as high as we are, we'll probably adjust that number up and start even still being conservative, but start to build it on say 620, maybe 625. We like to build it about 30 students under what we project because every year at the end of the year, we have 25 to 30 kids that go. We don't know they're going, they just leave for various reasons. It's just, we've also had 35 to 40 coming in from other places. So that's why we budget on that 600 number.
And at the end of the year, it's the students, your state school fund ends up being the students that are in seats that last day. So you could have had 660 kids in class all year long. You lose 25, they're going to give the less number of that. Then 2 years later, when they rectify and go back and do all of their number work and say, hey, well, you had 25 less students, we're going to give you a negative state school fund adjustment, and we're going to take that money back 2 years later. So we don't ever want to be in that position. So that's why we budget the way we do, so that if something is to happen, I don't want a negative school adjustment. It's scary. I've seen some that have just bit themselves, and it's scary. Expenditures. I love this. So this is our general fund expenditure based on that 12,488,100. So this is how it is broken up. You can see instruction is at 6.2 million and your support services at 4. Just a reminder that instructions are the 1,000 fund. Any of those teachers, staff, IAs that are in the classroom with the kids. It also covers their textbooks, any supplies needed in the classrooms, any maintenance that's done at that building. Not maintenance that's done at the building, but maintenance that's done to like their tables or their chairs or the things like that is stuck in that instruction. So we spend half of our budget on anything that physically goes to the kids, which I think is a great number. But I will also mention that in support services, that is your administration. So your principals, your superintendent, your counselors, transportation, tech, admin, office. So that's a lot. So if you look at the next page, it breaks it down to our salaries and benefits, supplies and materials. So I like to give, I know this is fast and a lot of craziness to give you guys, but I like to tell you we're spending half of our budget on instruction. And with that, half of that budget is salaries and associated payroll costs, salaries and benefits. So this breaks it down by object, which I think is actually fascinating when you see we don't spend a lot and your transfers are not a lot. Your capital outlay is not a lot, but salaries and benefits, which is why the state school fund is so high, makes up the majority of your costs. With salaries and benefits, we are spending this coming year $5.4 million on salaries, and $3.2 million on benefits, for a total of 8.6. And that, which means your personal costs account for 69% of your total general fund. Most typical places are spending way more than that, and that's why a lot of places are seeing a lot of cuts. The reason why they're seeing that is because they went through ESSER and they said, oh, we have all these people. And then when ESSER went away, they went, oh, we can't really cut people. We're going to put them in general fund. Now they're losing students and they're having to make all these changes and cuts and furlough days. Personal costs, yes, account for 69% of the total general fund budget expenditures. That includes salaries, admin, license, classified, and any extra duty contracts. Also includes PERS, which always, this next year is set to go up 2%, which is not bad because I've seen some years that they go up to 8%. Workers' comp, FICA, insurance, opt out, and I didn't put it in here, I probably should, paid family medical leave that we pay, that the district pays for on behalf of the employees. The positions are funded in both general fund and special revenue. So if we have staff that are funded in grants, we also fund them in general fund. That way, if that staff member has something happen and they go out on leave, we have the replacement covered in general fund and it doesn't make a big drop in our cost. Steps and COLA for the third year of our current bargaining unit for licensed and classified. That is the only increases and changes we are seeing in our budget this year.
This is the third year, so we will be negotiating. Yes,
Just
for a
saying
year
it's
of,
coming up.
both classified and certified.
Don't tell me that I'm not ready yet. Let's get through this
Oh,
first.
sorry.
Purchase services account for 7% of our total budget at $873,700. Our purchase service percentage has stayed even for the last 3 fiscal years, which is just impressive to me. That includes travel, trainings, audits, copier leases, the utilities, electrical, water, fuel. I know we got rid of a boiler and went to all of the HVACs and things and heaters and stuff, and that is actually seeing a lot decrease in a lot of our fuel consumption. So that's pretty great. Postage keeps going up, legal services keeps going up, but it still stayed at 7%. Supplies and materials account for 3% of our total budget at $407,500. So they've stayed the same from last year and this year. However, I did add for the total amount of the budget is about $50,000 more than last year, anticipating the possible upgrades for classrooms and additional supplies for the gym, which Jeff said we're gonna spend a bit on the gym today when I was talking to about it. Consumables and non-consumable supplies for the classrooms, office supplies, textbook, library, computers, computer software. And when it says computer software and hardware, that does not include what is in the 220 fund for technology. This is just classroom things for the classroom, not the computers for the teachers, but technology like that. On maintenance supplies for the year. We love maintenance. They keep us going. Other objects account for 3% of the total budget, which is $330,975. That includes dues and fees, capital outlay, our general liability insurance costs. So general liability through pays is estimated to go up about 13% this year. I was just talking to our insurance people and they are looking at around 11.5 to 12.5. So 13 is just in case it goes up more because numbers are not always set right now. Fund transfers account for 10% of our total budget, and that is up 3% from last year. So it's a total of $1,190,000. We are transferring 200 into the 202 fund, 300,000 into the 205 fund, which is our textbook fund, 100,000. In the 206 retiree fund, 25,000. 217 in the transportation fund is 75,000. That covers our payments on our buses that were leased from prior years. 220 technology fund, as we already said, is going to be 75,000. Our food service transfer is going to be 65,000, and our capital fund is 550,000.
I would say, just looking at these transfers as a whole, just a couple of reference points for you. Athletic fund, that's 25,000 more than we put in there last year. Every year referees costs go up, travel costs go up, all those things. Textbook's about the same. We've stuck on 100,000 and been able to do that. So we're always adopting what we need for next year, going into next year. So we're always staying ahead of that. So we're really funding for the year after's adoption, which we'll do next spring. So that stayed pretty flat. Retiree fund, that's for our early retirement people, right? That's a contractual thing. We're down, that's going to go away at some point because we're gonna age out all of our early retirees. We don't have very many left that have that because we bargained that away many years ago. But there's a few people that are grandfathered in. I think there's maybe three left. And is there anybody that's on that right now?
Yes.
So we have a couple that are kind of going through their years, and we have 3 left that haven't taken it yet. So it's definitely going to go down. And that has went down because when we were first doing it, we had a lot more people in there. Transportation, we decreased that a little bit from last year. 75,000 is a little less. We bought the 2 buses. But when we did that, we also, so last year, the year before, we bought the 2 new buses and the minibus. So we also traded in 2 off of our lease. So that decreased our lease payment. We're in about year 7 of our leases, I think.
7 on one, 8 on the other.
3 years left of those leases. And then at that point, we'll have to decide where we'll own the buses. So do we want to, which I would probably recommend starting to look at maybe taking our worst one and getting rid of it and started thinking about adding some new ones in. Our bus fleet as a whole is really solid right now. Minus the DEF issues that we have with them, which probably everybody with the diesel engine has those issues. It has, luckily, we've stopped hearing the noise about forcing us to go to battery buses and all of the electric buses. That noises went down. Doesn't mean it's going away and so forth. But so we're doing well there. We've dropped a little there. Technology, we've already talked about. We're increasing them so we can get those changeovers and kind of get that into a rotation. It'll probably be 3 to 4 years, and we should be able to turn over all of our Chromebooks, get all of our ViewSonics up and running correctly, and turn over our teacher computers again. So we try to do that about every 6 to 8 years. They tend to age out. So we'll be in a rotation of getting those fixed out. Our food service one, that's a hard one. That's $25,000 more. And that's not gonna go down. That's gonna probably continue to go up each year. Part of that staffing, we had to add another person in there. And we're in the CEP for 4 more years, which means we're given free lunch K-12, which is awesome, but that runs in the red. They put us in the program, we commit to the program, but they do not reimburse us at the level that the costs are. So when you're in that CEP program, you're gonna run in the red, which we are. So we had to add that 25,000. It's a small price to pay for feeding all of our kids, and it has increased the numbers, which is why we had to add staffing, because it's increased the kids eating. Yeah, didn't tell you a number off the top of my head, but I'd say it's probably close to 400 kids a day are eating lunch and breakfast. So it's been a great big increase in that. And then the capital fund one, like I said, we're just gonna like to do that again the next year, and hopefully we get 1 more year out of it. And I think it'll be in great shape for the capital.
And then the next one is questions. We'll pick over budget number 3.
Back to your compared scholarship, do you have to spend the interest too on that, or just the print?
Well, I think if we read right through it, it's really the principal has to be spent. I think in the nature of how we're doing it, I think what our approach has been, what the most realistic approach is, we're going to try in the 10 years, like he wished, to spend the $500,000. At the end of that, we're probably going to have another under-ish or whatever in interest. I feel like we're meeting his wishes and getting his principal spent in 10 years. We will have the interest and probably add another 2 to 3 years onto the scholarship on the back end. So we're not going to continue to raise it. I think we're on a path to have all of it spent in 10 years, and then the interest that's made on that will just tack on another year or 2 to it. And I don't foresee any problem with that. I kind of spoke briefly with Dan about that before he passed, and he said that. So that made sense. So that's what I'm going.
I didn't know if they were rushing the extra money. It was,
10 years, and I think we can get that on. Still be another 2 to 3 years.
the money that for the state fund and the money's coming in, is that pretty much set in stone or?
It is for next year. We went through, so when they pass the biennium, they do it on a 2-year basis. And so the long session, which was the spring or winter, I guess, before last, when they went through that and they approved the state school fund for 2 years, we got the 49%. They kicked around reducing that the second half of it, but they chose not to. So we're getting the whole 51% this year. So we know that's set in stone. The problem will, not problem, but the next time that they could reduce it would be next January, February, March. In that long session, they'll basically do a whole new budget. So at that point, we'll get the next 2 years totals and they'll determine. They're gonna have they're in that quandary, not to beat the same horse, but they're in that same quandary now. They're fighting about, oh, we don't have a long enough school year. They want a longer school year. We're tight on money. We need to reduce the school fund. You can't lengthen the school year and reduce the fund. So they're going to have to answer some hard questions for themselves pretty quickly. So early anticipations, I doubt it'll drop below 11.3 again. But if it doesn't increase some, our roll-up costs are going to hit us. Cost of fuel, we're still going to negotiate with both unions next spring. I will say that I think we did a fantastic job at the last negotiation of getting our classified up to where they needed to be. And we did certified too, kind of got them. So it was kind of big raises last time. I would anticipate that not being the case next year. Not saying we're not going to give them what they deserve and how the negotiations go, but I think that'll probably be a little more in step with more of the norm. So, and we are tail end negotiating because there's a lot of people that are negotiating right now, which is a hard time to be negotiating with a lot of uncertainty. So I think the bar is being set a little bit lower.
And on the special needs kids, is the extra weight added to them? Does that cover the extra cost?
Yep. It helps. So basically that's the other, so OSBA and COSA have got together and we just met last week as a group of soups and 2 meetings ago, and then the last meeting we solidified it. What we as the superintendents around the state wanted our focus of COSA and OSBA as they go into the next long session, as they're starting to lobby with the legislators on where that money needs to come from. The number one thing, aside from continuing to raise the state school fund, is to raise that special ed cap. It's capped at 11% right now.
Mhm.
It's capped at 11%. So that means if we have 11% of our kids are SPED kids, then we get paid that extra weight on 11. If we have 16% SPED kids, which is about where we're running right now, I think we're right at 16 point something. So those extra 5% we are not getting weighted for, yet they come with the same expense. So COSA and OSBA's focus, and we've said that, hey, that's killing us. You have to fix that. And they were really close last time until at the last session, the last funding forecast came in low, and so they bailed on it because they were about to raise it. So if they raise that, that would be very helpful. We're doing okay. We added the DLC classroom, and that has helped. And we've really worked a model of trying to get them in general ed as much as we can without disrupting general ed too much for either them or for the other students. And so the DLC has helped with that. So does it cover it? No, but it's not really hamstringing us too much right now. We have a pretty good balance still.
That's basically 16%. Is that typical for?
Douglas County? I'd say we're in the mid to lowish. I'd say the county average is probably 18-ish. We're at 16. So unfortunately, one of the obstacles that we run into is when we get inter-district kids, that's not a question we can ask. We have to take them no matter what their disabilities are or whatever. So sometimes when they come in, that becomes problematic in the sense of we're not ready to fund that or we don't have the facilities. We do with the super high needs kids, because there's 2 sets of SPED funding. There's the cap on your SPED kids, and then there's also the high cost disability, which once you get to a certain threshold of dollars that you spend on a kid, like if you have to have a one-on-one aid, or you have to have, if we were to place a kid in a treatment up in Eugene, and we had to either pay, well, we have to pay tuition to that and or drive them back and forth every day. Once you get over $30,000 to spend on that kid, at the state school fund, we get roughly $10,000 a kid, plus a little bit of a bump for the waiting. But so once you get over 30,000, you can get reimbursed for some of that high cost disability. They're talking about trying to raise that cap as well. For us, we haven't had anyone that's hit into that realm last few years. Doesn't mean they're not out there, and it doesn't mean they might show up, but so. Any other questions?
That's it. Where's my next thing?
That is the end of discussion, right?
That's the end of the presentation. If you guys, that is your questions. So if you guys have any discussions or concerns or questions.
Discussion.
It's worth making a comment. You guys are sitting in a pretty good position for a budget committee. This is not the position most districts are sitting in right now. Most districts have just been presented a budget where there's a 20% reduction in staff, or we're chopping $30 million out of our budget. Doesn't mean that it won't come at a later time, like in future years, but we're in really good shape, and we are in good shape for one reason and one reason only. Well, not only, but because we have a lot of kids.
A lot of kids.
But we also, we have to give credit to, we have always budgeted conservatively, and we have made sure that we're spending money where we need to. We're putting money in the classroom, we're spending money on kids, and I know I've said this before, but it's worth repeating. It has came at the cost of our facilities in those weak years. So we are trying to make up for that in the short window that we have to do it. And I plan to continue to do that, at your guys's, with your guys' support, to continue to do that while we can, because that window will not be open for very long. So, but that's why we're where we're at.
So the capital improvements in this budget are primarily related to the high school.
The ones that are coming in for next year.
Yeah.
Right now, our plans around capital improvements are, we're doing the high school seismic, so we are ready to fund that. And that is, we know that is going to at minimum cost us at a minimum of about $250 to fund the bathrooms, because that's not going to be part of the seismic, and to do the lighting while we're doing it. Those two things. We also, the gym floor is coming out of this budget, correct? But
I budgeted it in that one because I wasn't sure if
Okay.
we'd get the
I'm not sure we're
invoice
gonna
by
get
then.
it. So we know that we're redoing the gym floor, high school gym floor, as the final piece of the seismic on it, because we're doing phase 2 of that seismic this summer. And we know that gym floor was going to come in about 130,000 over what the seismic grant was. So 130 of it's for that, about 250-ish is for that. And then we still have hopes to get bathrooms on the other side of the bleachers, and kind of finish that project. Safety vestibule and the entryway in Lincoln. And we're looking at doing kind of a storefront instead of a full-blown thing. We think that's going to be a little bit more cost effective. And then we have a couple other smaller projects that we're hoping to get done. And then starting with the exterior lighting coming forward. We took essentially the 250-ish out of our capital from this year to do that parking lot that we're adding in. So that is going to come out of this one. But it spent our capital one down, not below. We try and keep our capital fund at 300,000 at a minimum. We always want to start the year at 300,000. So if a boiler goes bad or an HVAC unit goes down or whatever, we have that set. And so it's put us, I think we're around 500 or so. So it spent it down, but we felt like we had it to do it, and they were already doing a chunk of it. So this was the time. So those are the projects that we have in for kind of on tap for next year. Been talking with facilities. Facilities is coming up with some other ideas, but I will say we're not looking for extravagant things. We're just, our plan is to try and get it dialed in as best we can. Possibly the 2 other projects that have been discussed as possibilities, turning over the lower field below the ODS to OYB, and in order to do that, we would need to take the playground under the swings and stuff, pull all those chips out and pave that, so we have a solid surface when it's wet for the kids to play on and do recess on. So that would be one. That'd be a little more cost effective than say the parking lot, because it can be a much thinner. It's not a drive on asphalt, so it can be much thinner and more cost effective. And then, I just lost it. There was two of them, that one and another one.
There is a large amount in the incoming money and for the miscellaneous in the capital improvement, and that is for if we sell.
The strip mall.
Thank you.
The other one was we talked about trying to increase, not that we have a lot of space, but add some paving at the high school between the baseball field fence and where the parking is. There's that maybe 15-foot strip that goes the whole way, possibly looking at paving that. But add another row of parking spaces on non-baseball game days. But and if you happen to come up today because you're at the career fair, you saw that we had made our kids pull all their cars up on that area, so we'd have room for all the other cars coming up. That's really the only place we have left to pave. We might, if we did that, we would probably explore cost of paving that chunk right across from on Spruce when you come up High School Hill and take a left to go to OES, that part on the left, paving that. Problem with paving that is when you really look to pave it, it's right to the goalie. So what they would allow us to pave and not have to reinforce that hill would be exploring. So that's really where our capital is at this point. It's just, and saving a little bit for the OES seismic, because if that comes back in one grant, we will be over. If they continue to fund seismics at 2.5, which they're starting to talk about it, so that means it'll be at least 3 legislative sessions before they get around to it to raise those up. And 2.5 is just not covering. It's the bare minimum, and I mean when they're in the seismic, it's like doing the bathrooms up there, doing the lighting. It's the time to do it. You got the subs in, they're already there. You don't got to pay mobilization fees and all those things, but it's still over what it costs. So
You're already replacing the tearing stuff out.
Time to do the plumbing, time to do the electrical, time to do whatever it takes to do. So
Well, the material costs are so high that there's no way that 2.5 is going to cover anything.
and I guess so yesterday we had the water heater blow out in the attic above the science room. So got to school yesterday morning at 6 and that room was flooded. It wasn't flooded, but there was water running out of the ceiling for a long period of time. So we hadn't really planned on doing a whole lot in there. We had to do some of the exterior wall with the cabinets. So this will probably change it a little bit. We'll have some insurance money that we know is going to come in and replace some cabinets. So that might be the time to also look at if we can, for an extra X number of dollars, this might be a good time to revamp the back end of that science room, get some mobile cabinetry, kind of updated and upgraded. Not what we had planned on doing as part of the seismic, much like down here when that happened. Obviously, that was on a much bigger scale, but it might be a time to do that. So that too might cost us a little bit. We might throw some money in to supplement the insurance money to do that as well.
Okay. Happy with the discussion, okay?
Yes, Ken?
Have we ever thought about selling the property to the west of Washington School?
The strip mall that we're talking about, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is actually for sale. That's on our budget. We've already I've talked to the realtor. That's on our agenda for the board meeting tonight. We've already surplused it and have it ready to go for sale tonight. We're gonna hammer out the final details and get it for sale.
Would you remind me where that money goes? Like you sold the ball field.
Yep. So when we did that, we took that money and put it into capital and then pushed it right into it is basically the parking lot. And that's what we do. The same thing with the strip mall. We put that right into capital, and then if we sold the strip mall, we put it into capital, and that's what we would essentially just take that and flow it right through into a project, whatever that looked like.
Your brother wouldn't buy that for me, but a nice neighbor down the road did.
I tried to. I'm still working on leaning on him on the strip mall.
There's little kids all over that field tonight.
That couldn't have worked out better.
Yeah.
But they bought it. That was awesome.
Yeah,
It was a big win for them, for the community and for us.
yeah. No, it has worked out really well in there. think that they're, going to be they really want to do other things down there as far as, like, do we need to put bleachers down here for people to sit? Do we need to plant trees for shade? Do we need more drainage to, and all that? So, very positive. Yeah, for OIB. Definitely segment.
On that note, if you guys are happy with it, you would be able to make a motion and to pass the budget if you chose. If you do that,
It's in front of you. If you decide that you're going to go and want to go to a second meeting, those other part of the motion is on there.
I move to approve the Oakland School District proposed budget with presented updates for the 2026-2027 fiscal year ending June 30th, 2027, in the amount of $23,977,771 and unappropriated ending fund balance across funds totaling $2,488,50 for a total budget of $26,465,821. I also move to approve the taxes provided for the proposed budget of a permanent tax rate of $4.6397 per 1,000 of assessed value for the general fund operations.
I'll probably second that.
Okay. Those in favor?
ask for discussion first.
Discussion
If there's
first.
any discussion on the motion.
Discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion to approve budget is passed. Do we want to also call it meeting for the next meeting?
If you pass it, we don't need a next meeting.
That's if we did not.
That's if we did not, yep.
All right.
Well, thank you guys again. There's only 3 of you budget committee members here today, but thank you guys for your services. If you chose to or are willing to serve again, we'd love to have you. If not, if you let me know in the next couple of weeks, so you position posted that we would like to continue on, because you guys have done fantastic work.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Corey.
Yeah.
Corey.
I just do what Boston tells me. I heard.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
calamity to put up with somebody.
Yeah. Good. All right.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. All right, let's do it.
I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Oregon Oakland School Board. Wednesday, May 13th, 7 o'clock. Please join me first for the pledge of allegiance. If you would. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
If we were the Oregon School Board, things would be a whole lot better.
Yeah, and one more on it. Recognition of visitors.
Well, looks like we got our students here today.
Awards, recognition, and correspondence.
Teacher Appreciation Week, got recognized throughout the week. Variety of different things. Church of Christ came up and made one from Wednesday. I brought donuts district wide on Thursday. Each building had a variety of things going on for them. So it's the end of the week feeling appreciated.
Yeah, just a comment on this, we liked it.
Hard to go wrong with donuts.
Yeah.
Adjustments to the agenda.
I say we could scratch our action item unless, well, let's just leave it as, we'll leave it for now. Okay.
Okay.
Go to our discussion.
Any public comment on non-agenda items? Hearing none, we shall move on. Our consent agenda, which consists of the minutes from April 2026, as well as the HR report, have in front of you. Entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we accept the consent agenda.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I believe I thought somewhere in here, it was a minor thing. It maybe said that we were gonna add 88 parking spaces instead of, well, I'm assuming it's 38. But now I can't find it because I didn't highlight it. Which would have been handy. Okay.
If it's, depends on how it is. If it's on the bond one, yes, 38. 80 is the other parking lot, the other one we're at.
Yeah, I figured this was a motion. That's all I had. I don't know, any other discussion?
I asked her to put that in there incorrectly to see if you guys are actually.
Sure you did. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, that the consent agenda passes, and we'll move on to the fiscal overview.
You guys tired to listen to me talk yet?
Oh,
So this is our year date, for April of this last month, which this year has gone by so quickly. Everything looks great. We are on track and our revenue is coming in strong and our expenditures are staying right where we were really wanting them to be. And it looks like we'll end with a fairly high ending fund balance.
yes.
Any questions or any questions on the check? That's my favorite. See if my brain works.
Just because I'm not used to it, but there's two different times checks to the textbook depository. Is that just because one textbook came earlier, later? Or what?
Middle school, high school, elementary. One was for the middle school and one was for the high school, I believe.
When we adopt Texas, we do it, but I mean, we come together as a group, an admin team, and decide what we're going to adopt. We try and always go with the same publisher, but we don't necessarily always do it depending on what the standards are and so forth. But when we do determine what we're going to do, they go back to their buildings and they order for their building. So they don't always do it at the same pace. And if it comes from a different company, they come at a different time.
But that way it's all within that one hub of middle school, high school, elementary.
Anyone else have any other questions for the board?
Sure, I didn't want to check.
All right, thank you. Reports and discussions. Up first, our student body reports.
Hi, as you guys all know, I'm Kyra, and last school board for me. Oh my god.
You're supposed to be like sad and
I'm
crying.
getting crying. But no. So, good evening. This past week, our softball teams have been continuing with their big win streak from right after their Pendleton trip. They earned their league title and ended up undefeated within their own league for the season. Then this past Friday, they had their senior night, and we recognized 3 seniors, Maddie Dalberti, Avery Hayes, and Kelsey Pa. Then our baseball team, they've had a rough season this year with our main focus being to be able to grow as a team rather than focusing on the number of wins that they had, which overall is a better thing to look at, seeing as they've grown as a team, according to our senior Andrew Mason, who was recognized tonight at baseball senior night. Then moving on, we have our last senior night of the school year, and we're honoring Marley Woodward for track senior night. And throughout the season, they've been their own PRs, and they've grown throughout the season, as all of our sports have within this year. And we wish all of our sports good luck as they finish off their seasons, and hopefully they'll qualify for state. Then moving on to FFA, we had just hosted our 61st awards banquet, where we recognized multiple students within their various project areas and honored 8 2026 state degree recipients, as well as our chapter and green hand degrees recipients as well. Then we proceeded to recognize our seniors within the chapter by bestowing them their graduation awards. And then we heard our senior officers, Colby Chenoweth, Case Sutton, and Emma Wingfield's retiring addresses. And then we ended off the banquet with our newly elected officers. Then this past month, we've been putting together, our leadership team has been putting together a talent show. We held auditions just last Thursday, and we'll host our talent show later this month. I'm not too sure of what the date that will be, but we're hoping to boost morale and encourage our students to finish off this year strong. And with NHS, we're continuing our work throughout the backpack program. Every Thursday, right before lunch, students go into the student council room and put together packs for students to be able to take home to their families and work with the food that we've given them. And also, we've been working to plan out the citywide garage sale that we're going to, and we're helping sell off all the school's old desks and filing cabinets and all that. So hopefully with that, we're able to meet our NHS membership dues. Then also adding in senior stuff. Today, we did our career fair for 9th through 11th graders. And then while that was happening, our seniors did their senior presentations within 4 groups. With the group I was in, all of our presentations ended up pretty well. We all have grown throughout the year within our senior projects, and with like all of our senior projects, it'll hopefully lead us all to success after high school. Then lastly, with our after school program, it's centered around getting outdoors and building skills in many different areas, kind of like how we were last month. And that's what I have tonight for my last board meeting.
Well, thank you. And thank you for all your reports this year. Appreciate it.
Thank
And good luck wherever you're headed next.
Thank you.
Oh, you bet.
Well, I'm actually performing Xavier sadly Sapir didn't show up today. Good evening, board members. My name is Wendy Jimenez, and I'm a sixth grader on our leadership team. Life at Lincoln has been a whirlwind of activities. We have finished our ELA state assessments and will transition into our science test
this week for the 5th and 8th graders, and math will follow. We have been working hard in all our classes to prepare. Next, our track season has just finished. Last weekend was the district meet, where boys teams placed first. We had lots of top 8 finishers and a few first place finishes. Ronnie Woodruff won the district championship in the 800-meter run in the long run. His 17-foot and a half jump also set the new middle school record. Overall, it is a great season. Leadership is in the middle of hosting the 3rd annual Spring Olympics. We are about halfway done, and it is a close competition. The 7th grade is currently in the lead, but that could change soon. The winners will be announced June 1st. Also, as you all know, we're finally able to get our new gym yesterday, and the students are very excited. And for PE classes, we will get to start using the gym next Monday. Thank you for your time. Now hear me. Hello, my name is Wendy Jimenez. I'm just We have several fun events coming up at OMS. Tomorrow, the 7th grade is going on their annual volcano field trip to Bend. We're also going to be gone all day, but it should be a lot of fun. Next, the 8th grade went up to the high school for forecasts for their classes next year on Monday. And next Monday, we have their freshman orientation night at the high school. They are very excited. Also, our drum performance of Beauty and the Beast is on May 28th. I hope you all get to come and see their performance. They've been working very hard. Then on June 4th, leadership is hosting a 7th and 8th grade neon dance and 5th and 6th under the sea movie night. Lastly, on June 10th, OMS is hosting the 8th grade promotion where we will say goodbye to all our 8th graders. Then June 11th will be an exciting filled day for the rest of the students. In conclusion, life at OMS has been very exciting, and we've been looking forward to finishing the year strong. Thank you for having us this evening. Have a good night.
Thank you. All right, thank you all, and by all means, you're always welcome to stay for the meeting, but we understand if you.
Thank you. Have a nice night.
All right, you too. Thank you. And we have our principal and council reports in our packets. Anyone has any questions for our principals? For the multiple choice, you do.
Can I add in one thing? Maybe two.
Sure.
One, thank you, Brendan, Ken, for joining us today for senior projects on our career day. I think they're a great day.
Yeah, it was fun.
But it was a good day. And we are finished with state testing at the high schools. That's awesome. And then finally, in the awards, we should have talked about this, but I wanted to recognize Johanna Held. We all nominated Johanna as as the Sutherland First Citizens Teacher of the Year. So they had their first citizens banquet last Saturday, and I think it's the second year in a row that they've been invited or extended open to recognize an Educator of the Year. So Johanna was ours this year, and she and I went, and that's a really nice evening. So share that with you as well.
Sure, thank you.
That is a new thing. They're kind of, First Citizens Group has kind of followed after Rotary and included Oakland in that, so they added us in there. Last year was our first year we did it. Jordan Sunrush from elementary last year, and then the help from the high school.
When do you get results from your testing?
We get the preliminary that are not, we can't share them with the public yet, but we get them almost immediately on some of the tests. Some of the ELA tests where they're going into writing, some of those, it's the performance tasks. Those take a little bit longer, and so they kind of give you a plus and minus. At the end of the school year is generally when we get the test results we can share. Preliminarily looking, they look very good.
Good.
Yes, the jump from last year on the ELA, just what I'm seeing now. So, but it's preliminary and fun.
Nice.
But the green bubble is bigger. than it was last year.
Good.
Green is good.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. The custodial maintenance report also in your packet. If anyone has any questions regarding that?
as presented again. I mentioned it last night, and most of you guys were there, that shout out to the custodial staff, because, or maintenance and custodial, because they're making it rock their world for 4 years with all of these projects. And then, so on a day like yesterday, when they're trying to get everything ready for yesterday morning and last night, and oh, by the way, you know, if we have a flooding classroom yet, they're taking everything off balance and then you go. So they're doing good work and are planning for their summer projects, which are different than normal because the high school's off limits, and elementary for the first 4 weeks of summer school is out as well. So they'll spend their time down here, kind of getting things going and then pop up. So this year we're not hiring. Normally we always hire at least one adult, sometimes 2 students to work on our summer maintenance crew, and we're not going to do that this summer just based on the fact that we won't have the ability to keep busy.
Something to think about too. Last night I was watching, if we could, I don't know if it's on the list, but the grandstands. We're gonna do a facelift to that.
Oh, plan on paint. Are you talking about the new ones
The new
that look
ones, yeah.
older? Yeah, we have plans to paint them this summer.
It's like
About a
new
facelift, but
to-
we're planning on at least getting a coat paint on it.
Blue like Jim or what?
What's that?
Blue like Jim?
Oof. I guess this will probably go back with white, but
cheaper.
we can probably get some surplus army green.
Orange, we like orange, Jim.
Black.
Fred, it is the middle school. I was just gonna say, I was impressed that maintenance was still smiling yesterday morning, despite the news of the week, so. And last night. Yeah. All right, 8.4, facility report.
Actually pretty short report for a change. Phase 2 is done. We got that final inspection on that 5-6 hallway, and we had to wrap in some pictures, which we did. So that's good to go. That was done. Obviously, we got our final inspection on the new gym as well. Finished that off, and it is open. We now have our occupancy for that, so we're good to go there as well. On the high school gym seismic, we are set to. They're going to start tearing out the floor on the 12th, which is the last day teachers are there. So they'll start kind of getting in there and cutting up some pieces of the floor, because we need to get some chunks cut up and moved over. So then we can, on Monday, we'll start bringing the flooring in, because it's got to sit in there for a couple weeks to acclimate to it. We're going to save all of that flooring. It's going to go in the shop over on the side. The metal shop has been, or wood shop, I mean, has been reusing the stuff that we pulled up from Lincoln, a drone that was in that floor that got ruined with the water. We had it in one of our connexes, so they've been slowly using it for a variety of projects. They're doing the same thing with the maple out of there. So we'll get that cut out. We save some money on, they're cutting it up, but we're gonna haul it out. Being our maintenance crew, and we're gonna move it over there. So we'll take care of that. That saved us almost $15,000 in disposal fees. So that's on tack. The roofing guys will get on that roof also on the 12th, the day after students are gone. While teachers are still here, they're going to get on the roof and start tearing off the high roof and get that done. Brent has been in there with mostly by himself, because it's really a one-man show. He's been putting up the support beams that need to go in there. There are 6 of them that had to go up, and he's got to, for each one, he's got to put a beam in, strap it down, and so forth. And he's, I think, got 3 of them done and has 3 left to go. So he's been doing that on Fridays and Saturdays, trying to get that knocked out. So then when the roofers come in, they can pull the roof, go, and then get the flooring done. Classroom seismic. The science room threw a little wrinkle into it. I'll know a little bit more tomorrow as we sit in our construction meeting. The plan was to not, while we still, I know this is a little frightening since we're 3 weeks out or 4 weeks out. We don't have a 100% plan, but a pretty good base plan. Current base plan is we're going after the short haul. They're going to start the exterior work. They got to do a few footings on the outside on both sides of the short haul, and then take a few of the windows out and put in some beams and such. And then we were going to put the temporary wall in the library, not temporary, the permanent wall in the library. And that will essentially create that classroom where that accordion wall is now. It's going to be about 10 feet to the counselors, to the main office side of that. So the library will shrink by about that much. And then And then we have to do that's a full blown, cut the floor out, put a new footing in, and then that wall goes all the way to the roof. It's a brace wall. So we're gonna put that in, and then we're going to leave the bathroom wall there. So that classroom will be about 12 feet bigger next year than it will be the year after. Then we'll pull out the bathroom wall, move it to 12 feet and make those bathrooms to match the lobby bathrooms. But that one, we have to tear the entire floor out and do everything, and we don't believe, we will not have time to do that this summer. So essentially, unfortunately, that means that teacher's got to move twice. They got to pack up their room and go in there, pack it up again next year and get out of there so we can redo it. But again, it'll be much better on the backside. So we're going to do that. And then that way we'll put an exterior door into the CTE room, the home ec room. And so we can work on that during the school year. So that room will be unoccupied. That's the teacher that we're moving into that new classroom in the library. So we'll be able to work on that during the school year, which will help take some pressure off of the schedule this summer and next summer. The wrench in there is the science room. What we're going to do with that, if we're now going to try and break into the science room and manage it at the same time, we're going to talk about that tomorrow and see what that looks like. It would be cleaner if we could do that, based on the fact that we're going to get some insurance money for those cabinets. It doesn't make sense to get it, put them in place, and then move them again. So we're going to kind of see we're going to soft play the schedule and see what it looks like. And they are doing a little bit more. They've done a little bit more exploratory work on the front to see how much dry rot we think we're going to run into, where we need to do those spandrels at. And hopefully we have a little better answer tomorrow if we have or not. If they are going to be able to just repair the wall without having to tear the whole thing out or not. We're hoping not. Budget wise, it might be easier to do it. It's more expensive. So we're hoping that we can just put the spandrels in and leave it. So we will do that on the short haul. So we're set to have those teachers start getting their stuff packed up. I will find out tomorrow officially how much they have to pack up, if they just need to move it to the interior walls, or they really need to take everything out of there, or sure. So get those answers and start doing that. And then parking lot, I just asked them today. They're flying through that. Tuesday's their pave date, tentatively right now. So they'll get that paved, and then about at least the last time it was about 2 days after that they started striping. Once they're done with that, parking's done, where they're going to continue moving north a little bit, and then gravel another like 40, 50 some feet up there is packed gravel that we'll be able to park buses on, and then we'll end up restriping a little bit of where the buses kind of park now, and then all the new striping will be on there. So that should be done here pretty soon. And then that's about it. Just it's worth mentioning again, kind of talk about a little bit, resurfacing the track, paving and expanding parking lots, continuing with exterior lighting, continuing the seismics, safety vegetables, the new bathrooms across the way, and then possibly paving the playground there. We got to figure out what we're doing with our ticket booth, and then we talked a little bit about soliding or walling in at the stage of the Lincoln cafeteria, walling that in and making that a classroom space, and then also a place for the cheerleaders to practice. It's a possibility. Not a great answer because we do our drama plays there now. It's harder to move. That's the only downside to the drop down stage that we have. It's not really set for drama because there's no curtain, there's no backstage stuff, but we'll kind of figure that out. So that's definitely not set in stone. Just start kicking that around. We really need to find a place for our cheerleaders to practice. So right now we shift them all over the place. It's not ideal. Could put them in the weight room at the high school, but that's exactly what we're trying to get away from with the wrestlers.
The upstairs in the new gym.
That's where the wrestlers are. High school wrestlers. And the reason we're moving out of there
At the
is
same time too.
because right now, what's that?
They're at the same time.
Yeah, they practice at the same time. So yeah, we're trying to get away from having to move that weight equipment every day. So let's see. So without a great answer yet.
I know you've talked about basically the security for middle OMS.
That's
Yeah, that's what about high school?
well, we're trying to get that worked into the plans, but whatever we do there, we're gonna do there as
Okay.
well. So if that doesn't happen this summer, which it might or might not, it'll happen the second summer.
Okay.
So we'll just do that.
So it
as
is
part of
in-
the discussion.
It is in the plan as well. Okay.
We missed the window on that one. That's why we're coming back to do it,
Okay.
but we're gonna do this one at the same time, either this summer or next.
All right. 8.5, superintendent report.
I'm also gonna be quicker than the last one. Rotary auction in the books. You guys often me up as a Rotarian. That's part of my duties as superintendent. So I've joined the Rotary and been a Rotarian for the last 4 years. Really enjoy it. I kind of spent the auction part. I spent the day setting up on Wednesday, half the day. So sell it and then go to the auction, do that, help a little bit of stuff that night, and then show up the next day to help tear stuff down. So it works out great. It really is a good group of guys. It's a good group of people. It's not just guys, it's a lot of very hardworking women in there as well. It's a good group of people. It's just small. There's just not very many. Maybe, I think our membership's 29. There might be 10 to 12 really active members that do a lot. So is what it is. It works out good. They are very supportive, and they were the first club to really include Oakland in there. They didn't have to do that. They were the Sutherland Rotary Club, and they brought Oakland in. I don't know how long ago, but it's one club. I did 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks, whenever our last bond oversight committee meeting. The next day, I went to drove to Southern River for Pace Day. Did that as part of that 5% discount that we try and get every year, which is a decent chunk of money. I have to do that. So I went over, this is some breakouts, just basically go over there and they scare you, tell you how many risks we take at school and running a school and all these things. But focus was good. Did that and got that taken care of. So now I just got to do the follow-up paperwork. Maybe it's due by the end of the month. Finished the OSAA stuff. The championship committee, we had our last meeting on the 27th, and then Monday, 2 days ago, I had to go back up to present our findings to the board. Did that, so we're good there. FFA option and banquet both went off in the last 2 weeks. It's successful, and they're on the backside of that. Academic awards, we did that last week, and we also had the early graduation. Normally, we've had early graduates before, but those early graduates usually are still around for graduation. Our current one, Joseph, is going to be going on a summer internship, so we did a little quick graduation for him with his cap and gown and gave his diploma, and that was really neat. Just awesome thing. And then we did the ribbon cutting at open house last night, and then we've done this. I want to say 2 other years. Everything that's down at the strip mall, we have surplus. It's been down there for a long time, even though it's surplus. If we need a new desk or we need another desk, far from a new one, or a file cabinet, we'll go down and grab it. Twice we've had Honor Society do citywide garage sale, just pull that stuff out and sell it. We're doing that again on the citywide garage sale, pricing it to sell. It's almost going to be like, hey, you buy this desk, you got to take a file cabinet with you. We're emptying out as much as
Throw it in this.
So Honor Society is doing that. It's a fundraiser for them. Again, it's not like they get rich off of it, but anything they sell is good for us. So hoping to get that filled out. But overall, things are going well.
Enrollment numbers in your packet, but do you have any things to say about those other than they're right on up there?
The fact that we're, at 655 right now, that's 14 students over last year. We definitely kind of came back. So we started the year 18 students over what we started last year. We're finishing the year 14 students over where we ended last year. So yeah, still in good shape.
Yeah. All right. The land use court case, 8.7.
I put this back on here because anyway, the gentleman that came a couple of times and presented to you guys, he and his wife removed themselves from the case, not because they don't believe in it anymore. They just put their time in and they kind of handed it off to these new aggressive quality lawyers. Daniel Crow, which I put his last email in your packet, he took over. So at the last meeting, we kind of discussed whether or not we wanted to tap into that OSBA LAP fund. And after much discussion, you guys chose to not do that. I alerted them of that the next day, and then they'll quickly send a response, hey, you need to go back, I want to talk to the board, I want to convince it, otherwise I'll be at your next meeting. I said, well, that's fine, it's not like we didn't have a lengthy discussion over it. I said, one of our board members was absent at the last meeting, so you're welcome to come. Like, obviously, can't tell you not to, but, and then I didn't hear from him again, minus a few updates of how the court case is going. So I put it on here in case he was here, because if he was, I wanted to have the opportunity and you guys to, it's not my decision to make, as I've told you before, it's your guys' decision. He was gonna try and kind of push you in that direction again. So I did send his, or include his last email in the packet for you guys. I mean, it appears that the case itself is going really well. So it says, I do believe he's very positive. What he says here is right on, and it does all sound very positive. But I will say, when I talked to OSBA, there's been 2 cases similar to this that have went through, and one on every level and got to the Supreme Court and got overturned. The Oregon Supreme Court and got overturned. It feels like this is where that one's heading. Who knows? That's still another year or 2 away. But I mean, the arguments are good, and I do believe, at least what they said, they're taking a different approach. And if the state is truly, I mean, if what he says in here is all 100% accurate, then the state's going to get chastised pretty heavily at the next hearing, as they should, if they're doing what he says they're doing, and if they're dropping 2,500 pages, all regurgitated stuff from stuff they've done. If they really are doing that, the judge is going to look pretty hard. Now, that being said, he also says they'll get another chance to come forward, but the bottom line is, it's going to be hard to defend that they're not taking that money and putting it into schools. There's no getting around that. If the state says, what'll happen is the Oregon Supreme Court has to determine, are you allowed to do that or not? It really comes down to interpretation. So it's going well. It's not here. I had an action item if you wanted to revisit it. I think that I was going to let him state his case. I alerted OSBA about our decision, and I alerted them about our decision. OSBA said they were pleased that that's where we landed. Felt like that was the right way to go based on other things. I did all transparency, want to bring back answers. You can tap into that fund as many times as you want. So one of our concerns was, if we did access the fund and we're given it, which is far from given, because it's got to go through 2 levels of approval for us to even be able to access it. If we were able to do that and then in 3 months got sued and needed to tap into it again, we would be able to ask to tap into it again and possibly be granted that. The fact that we already went to it once wouldn't have done it. They were clear that it's never been used for something like this before, or plaintiffs as opposed to defendants. And so they didn't seem confident that even if we had asked, that it would have made it through both channels. Neither here nor there. Just wanted to give you an update on that's where we're at. So I still think it's moving along in a good place. So that's where we're at. I do believe he was going, they were going to go at Powers and Sayus Law, and that's the just set up. Since you guys had already said no. So that's how I believe they're at. And I'm not surprised he's not here, because I wouldn't expect it.
Okay. Our calendar.
Calendar is just an update. I think I want to say I hit it right at the last meeting, but I can't remember if I did or not. I can't remember when it came out, but in the media, executive order from the governor about shortening the school year. We basically have already approved the calendar. Some big questions really, as well as every other superintendent in the state, had lots of questions about, what does this mean? How is this interpreted? Instructional minutes versus student instructional time. 2 very different calculations, both referenced in the executive order, confusingly so. And so the reason that I put the calendar back up here was so we approved again. So the executive order says schools are no longer allowed to take furlough days to budget, to balance your budget. You're not allowed to reduce your instruction time. If you've already agreed to do that or reduce your instruction time either this year or next year, you have to do one of two things. We have to do two things if you've done that. One, you have to restore it the year after next into last year's minutes time. If you, and you have to put forth a plan of how you're going to do that. Those are the two things you have to do if you are reducing time. We are reducing time next year with the calendar we adopted. We took one instructional day away and added an in-service day. We are still over the minimum hours in all three buildings of instructional hours required by our Division 22 standards. We are still over that minimum. And it's worth noting, we're over that minimum and we do not use the asterisk that you get. So you could be 992 hours. That's what the requirement is at high school. You can actually instruct your kids for 932 hours and use 60 hours, 30 of teacher conferences and 30 of in-service training time for your teachers to count as instructional time. Now, this executive order says you can't do that anymore. The rulemaking, it got caught up in rulemaking, and there's a pretty good fight over whether that's going to come into play or not. But it doesn't matter because we don't do that. We are over our minimum hours. Even with that day we took away next year, we're over our minimum hours without that. That being said, we have the option right now of changing the calendar and sticking that day back in and taking that in-service day away and being good to go, no problems. Or we can continue with the calendar that we've adopted for next year, take that day out like we planned, do the in-service day, and the following year, make the flip back, which would be my recommendation because we've already started planning on the in-service day. We feel like there's great value in that in-service day, some great training for our bus drivers, for our IAs, for our other people that we wouldn't get training for. We made that compromise so it was one day instead of three, so we're not, that no classified aren't losing it. Everyone's getting their exact same amount of hours and we're getting a training day in there. Yes, we're losing 8 hours we're losing an instructional day. It's a Friday, generally not our most, our best attendance day. It's gotten better over the years, but it's in the 70s, right? Is that about accurate? It's probably high 70s where it's been in the 60s before. So it's still in the high 70s. So we're taking out a day that we're not going to have great attendance on, and we feel like we're going to get value out of it on that end. We're only going to do it for next year. We will. And my plan should take about 2 seconds to write. Hey, we're going to go back to this. This is why we did it. And you think you're wrong in making us do it the other way, but we're going to do it and we're going to put this back in. So that's my recommendation. But I needed to put it in here because you guys need to be part of the decision because you adopt the calendar. But my recommendation is we continue with what we've done. We've already let the staff know that's the plan. We've already started planning. We've been working with DSD. We have that day relatively planned out for a bunch of different PD sessions that they're going to hit on. So really looking forward with that is our best step. But really that's from down to you guys. So I throw it out there as a discussion on how you feel. I do not have it as an action item to change it. If you felt like you wanted to change it, we can easily add that as an action item.
You just proposed that it's an option to do it next year.
Yes,
Fine.
we are fine. We are well within the parameters of the executive order. We're not breaking any rules. It's just a matter of we got to change that.
What other changes would be out of time anyway? So. Yeah, maybe.
I thought, for the same reason.
Agree with Ken.
I know.
And I mean, there's still an election in November. So the executive order, I won't say it goes away, but if a different governor comes in, they can easily make that change. So, although I do believe that even the Republicans are running on the platform of too short of school day. So who knows where that's going to go. Too short of school year. Okay, that's it for the calendar. That's,
All right.
I assume that that's where you guys would land, and I definitely think that's the right decision. I think that we are going to get more value next year out of that 8 hours of in-service time than that instruction, and we'll roll back next year.
Anyone disagree with that? All right. 8.9, Washington Old Admin Property, AKA the strip mall.
So I've already gotten calls and I've toured 2 people through it. One has the idea of making it into apartments. The other one has the idea of making it into storage units. Made the phone calls because I pointed them to the city. Those aren't my questions to answer, what zoning looks like, what's legal and what's not legal, blah, blah, blah. But I still Eric circled back to me with conversations about how both of those go. Sounds like both would be okay. Have to make a few minor changes, not on our part. We're selling it, so it doesn't really matter. So I reached out to Ben Tatone, our real estate agent, who we are connected with. We signed a year contract with him, so he's our realtor till August. So I said, you need to get it listed. Can't do anything moving forward, and I can't sell it on my own. We need to get it listed. So he is ready to list it. 2 obstacles are in play that I want to lay out for you guys tonight, so we can, kind of give me some direction of how you'd like me to move forward. First obstacle is a simple one. What do we want to list it at? He gave comps that aren't great because there just isn't a lot of comparables around Douglas County that look like the strip mall. I mean, there just isn't. I mean, it's a big building. It's got some issues. It's a sturdy building, minus the one corner that's falling off. The rest of it's in good shape. And that corner really is, it's messy. I mean, if you go through and walk it, the rest of the building is great, but it's on a cement slab. And if you go into that end room, you can see where it's sloughing off. The floor's breaking. You can see daylight from the inside. It's not good. It's not going to last forever. That's a problem that's going to have to be addressed with whoever buys it right away. Other than that, though, the building's in great shape. Roof's in great shape. Other walls are in great shape. So it's in pretty good shape. Through all of the comps, his recommendation based on the other comps was 300,000. In talking with him and really pushing him on what those comps are and what the reality there is, I think that's too high. But that's what he recommended. And when I started kind of pushing back, well, that seems really high. And which of these comps are you really basing it on? Well, I mean, you can probably start there, but you're probably going to have to drop it after a little while. I say, why? Right? We don't need to. It's not like a hot and heavy real estate market right now. So I don't believe pricing it high is in our best interest. But I need a price. So that's the first one that I'd like to kind of discuss and kick on. The second one is once he did all of the legwork to get it ready to list. I don't know how the city does some of the stuff they do. But the lot line for that property runs right through the middle of the property. So like if you're standing at the gate and you're looking at it, you got the fence along there, you got the place you drive in. The lot line basically goes right through the middle of the building. So here's the lot, and then here's this other lot that has the Washington Gym included in it. So what we're going to do is, or what we're doing, or what I instructed him to do, again, passing it on to you guys, just letting you know, he's going to list it as the strip malls for sale with one of the conditions of sale is that we would work out with the city a lot line adjustment. And city knows that. I mean, city planner, I've already talked to Eric about it. I'm sure that has to go to city council or planning commission or one of the other 10 committees I'll have to go to get it done. But I think that it's really a formality, and they'll be able to move that lot line over. There's also going to be I have already had conversations with city council about the city has the alley that goes through there, which also goes through the end of the building. That they would like to move the alley over right next to the city hall building so they could have a little bit of parking there. And then they would essentially trade the alleyway area would become our property. And then the alley that they own would then they take the equitable slice over next to the bottom of the stairs. again, a formality that would all be done in one lot line adjustment. So that's the only other obstacle, and we're not even gonna do it right now. We're just gonna put it in there as a condition of sale. Once we get it listed, I will probably start working through the process with the city. Generally speaking, it takes a few months, so.
That right away still run right through the building, even though they put it against the stairs.
I'm gonna guess that, I don't know the answer to this, but I think they ended the alleyway just short of the building. So if you're thinking about the parking lot here, it goes up here and stops. So you wanna take that rectangle and they just wanna move it over there. So it's right there where you come in, so you still have the parking, a few parking spots right below there. So. I mean, it goes, I think they stopped it. I don't know what you call that. You know, city.
I would love to know the history of what.
Yeah, I don't know any of the housing wise and how you have an alley. You can allow a building to be built in the middle of an alley and still.
Well, yeah, but if it's a right of way and you really want to maybe complete the street, it makes no sense to have a building in the middle of it.
The other one is that there's an alley on the other side.
I'd say
You've got
how-
Washington Gym and the Cliffs to the fields. That
Right.
also is an alley.
That's an alley,
That's
yeah.
a city owned. So I'm not here to debate the ins and outs of that because I got nothing. But
My personal opinion, I think as long as the city ended up with some parking, they'd probably be pretty happy.
Yeah, and that's, I believe that. And both people that I walked through the mall and kind of showed it to them, I said, know that in this purchase, I basically gave them the same thing I gave you. Here's this rectangle that the city owns. They're gonna want to move it over here and trade for that. That will need to be worked out. So that's a huge problem. And according to Eric, there'd be a few zoning hoops to jump through, but he felt like both would be, storage units and apartments would both be doable. I think the storage unit guy wanted to do some outdoor storage too, which Eric said that probably won't fly as much, but. But in order to get the process moving, I need a number. That's really what I need most of all. It's for you.
What's that gonna do to the gym being landlocked?
I mean, it still has an easement on the backside. When we gave them City Hall, we kept an easement to get there, so it's not landlocked per se. You can still get in on the backside of the City Hall, where that little walkway where everyone walks, there's still that right of way to it, so it's not landlocked. Technically. Realistically, it is, but
You can't drive,
what's that?
can't drive to.
You can, yeah, you can, because we moved those bathrooms back there, and it's just not great driving, it's not gonna.
It's not driveway.
They're gonna put a semi back there, but,
Yeah.
You can get back
you know, you can get back there, yeah, I mean, we've moved those, porta potties in there.
So the two people that talked to you, have they showed interest or not? Put an elevator in.
I basically told them I was coming to the board to get a price, and so they said, okay, so I think that they were probably going to reach out to me after the meeting and see where you guys landed on
Did they
price.
give you any insinuation in the press of what they were thinking?
Well, I told them, I was very upfront. I said, we haven't set a price. The comps are this. I believe it's gonna go up. I said, our realtor told us to list it at 300. While we think that's probably a little high, I think they'd probably be interested in the 200-ish range. I wouldn't necessarily list it at 200 because I'll lowball you from there, but I think that he came in.
250 is kind of what I was thinking, 275. So yeah.
I think 250 makes it more price to sell. I think it will lure a little bit more interest. I don't think we'll ever get 254. It will keep a little more interest than 300. That's.
I really have no clue, but
Yeah,
I mean, it's a lot. It's your part of the lot.
a lot. The suburb is a lot with that expense to get rid of that building.
Yeah, but I think, I mean, both people that walked through it felt pretty confident that, I mean, for storage units,
Oh,
you don't gotta get rid of anything. And really for apartments, you might have to put some walls up, but I mean, the outside of that corner, the building's solid.
Right.
I mean,
yeah,
it's
that's
solid.
not bad.
So I was just thinking, I've never really been in it, so I don't know if you could even use it for apartment.
You slap some paint on it and you
Yeah.
slap some, I mean, it's doable. They wouldn't be big apartments,
no.
but I think you could probably put 5 units of, 5, maybe 1,200 thousand square feet. Well, it's 200 by say 40, 45. There is that covered porch area, so that's so bigger than you think. I'd say that when I walk through it, because I've been in it a lot, but it's bigger than you think. What's that? I want to say there's at least 2 sets of bathrooms. Yeah, and then there's just 1 set of bathrooms.
Just wanted to know by admin was.
Yeah.
And then on the
There's
March.
2 sets of bathrooms and then there's isn't there? Yeah, I think there's 2 sets of bathrooms and 1 janitorial closet that has some kind of water to it.
So there's plumbing.
I did have to
Move
tell
it
one
in.
of the guys, because in the janitorial closet, there's like a rickety looking shelf, but the tiles are out and goes, oh, I really want to see up in there. Can I climb up that? No. You cannot climb up that shelf. Absolutely not. Oh, come on. Just step outside. You are not.
I would just say I would lean towards the 275 range, just you can always come down.
I'll put it for wherever you want to put it. I mean, I'm getting either way.
Well, that's the other problem is how fast you want it to go.
I want it to go faster than not,
Yeah.
because the reality is a quarter's not gonna last for long.
So here's an option. We start at 275 to get the process going and start moving the lot line and then drop it. Shoot, quick sell. If we get any interest in it, we can always entertain out.
If we walk away at 200, that's huge win. Huge win. Up from under us, the wall hasn't collapsed.
Yeah.
And
Insurance.
well, and you're not wrong, and I thought about that, but I'm pretty sure with the insurance money, we're gonna have to inherit to get it. I don't think they're just gonna write us a check and go, oh, that whole building, corner of your building, here's $100,000 to fix it. I think we have to actually fix it, which fine. If we get the insurance money and we pay to fix it, then now maybe it is worth 275 because they don't have to address that, but plenty of building projects up here. I'm not sure I want to take all of them there, but
Another gym down
that is. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. So I'm good at whatever. Ben's waiting for my call tomorrow. I'll tell him whatever price we want to put it at. We will get it advertised.
Now we just have to decide what that price is.
Yeah, what's your plan with the gym?
Well, I mean, our plan up to this point, if the strip mall does get sold, I will probably readdress the people that bought the field because they had kind of tentatively showed some interest, wanting to keep it as a community thing. I'll probably reapproach the city, hoping that they would take it, buy it from us for $1 and take control of it. I don't have an answer. I don't have the option C. That's my 2 options. There's no one's gonna buy, no private person most likely is gonna be too eager to buy the gym because of it needs some money. I mean, we're gonna leave the bathrooms down there. So as is, it is turnkey and workable. But, so, I mean, our goal and our hope and our desire would be for the city to take it from us and somebody write some grants and get some historical money thrown in there. I don't know that you really even need to truly upgrade the bathrooms. I think the portables that you have there are good. It's some insulation, and we are into some freezing issues with the pipes and stuff, but that's easy to fix. And then just leave the bottom side off limits, and then it becomes a pretty workable, and keep it as a community gym. Because it is a nice space as far as the gym itself goes, but it's a hassle to manage. We need it out from under us. So strip mall goes, that'll be our first. I will be at the next city council meeting. Get ready to give them for a belt. Right back to collection.
About 275 and you get a free gym.
We'll throw in the gym.
Go to the gym for nothing. I like it. Then we don't have to do the.
No, a lot like this. There's that up. I don't know. Straw poll here. What do you think, Mark? Give me a price. There are no wrong answers.
Yeah, 250, 275, either one sounds good to me.
Okay. Tom, you sticking at 275? Terry, what do you think?
Well, if you want to sell quick, 250 will get more bites. It's kind of like, you know, if you sell something for $9.99.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's not $5, $9.99.
Okay. Brett? Well, if that's the case, then we're gonna put it on for $4.95. Which is $2.49.
270, 499.
Yeah.
I'm kidding you. 250 or 275.
What kind of decision makers are you?
I know.
Do you need to rock, paper, scissors? What's going on?
I think it's $2.50.
All right,
Roll it.
all right, I'll go 2.5.
$2.49.
$2.49.
Okay.
249.
$2.49.
$2.50.
$2.50.
That's funny, because I was gonna say, how about we just go 260?
I
So 250,
$2.49.
price to sell, 49,999.
Why it lasts.
So that alley below the corner that's fallen down the city.
That is cities as well, that we're falling into.
Yeah.
Yeah, right below, there's like that little short retaining wall, that is city.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
They can't.
But that also doesn't go all the way through, because there's a house there.
Yeah,
Back in
yeah.
David's house.
Well,
I
there's-
think, I don't know this for sure, but I think they essentially took and changed the alleys here, and then it goes over and then finishes there. I don't think they connect, but I think that's what they did, is they moved it over when the.
Well, and they probably put all that into play before the main streets were all cut down and leveled and everything else.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, horse and
Yeah.
buggy, they could go uphill. So
Well, I mean, 1931, I think the school was actually built before the gym, so I want to say the gym was, or the school was built in the 20s, so it was a minute ago.
My grandfather hauled firewood as wagon and horses to the school.
To the school,
For the toilet.
I think some of that firewood's still in there. Okay, well,
All right.
that's what I needed, so I will talk to him tomorrow and get it listed. I'll probably just reach back out to those few people and let them know that it's
Yeah.
listed at that. See where
See what happens.
Start the bidding.
But, yeah.
Let's make a deal.
What's kind of your noise?
All right, now moving on to action items, which we have the accessing OSBA legal assistance trust funds. So what are our choices here? I mean, we didn't eliminate it.
I mean, our choice would be if you want to revisit it and reapproach them. I only put it on there because I felt like he was going
Yeah.
to.
That's the
come and,
lawsuit.
That's the lawsuit
Okay.
piece of it, if we want to.
Excess of
Go to that lap fund. I only put it on there because I thought he was gonna work his magic to persuade you guys, and then I wanted you to at least make the decision. And
So can we just drop it?
yes, yeah, I would have adjusted the agenda when he wasn't here, so.
And Tom, you weren't here, so you really can, I mean, do you want to, we can,
we discussed it the one before. And
Right.
I was not.
okay,
Well, I think the other two schools. Let them have that.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at. I feel like we've done we've done our part, and they got us signed on because there was 2 other districts signed on, and then I haven't heard anything from them throughout. So like we've done a few things
They're
along the
keeping
way.
your head down too.
Yeah, I feel like it's time for them to pop their heads up a little bit.
all right, we'll just scratch that then.
Yeah.
Upcoming meeting input.
Just a heads up on your next meeting, which is June 10th. It's scheduled for 7. Our 8th grade promotion is that same night. It starts at 5:30. 5:30. So it should be done. I mean, just know I might be skidding in. We might be skidding in right at the start of it. So after the meeting, but it's at 5:30. So I think we should be fine, but just know that that's happening on the same night. And then, I kicked the superintendent evaluation piece to that meeting. Again, if we don't get it done and we're not ready, we'll just table it, throw it into the fall. Again, as I said, I don't care when you put it in, probably by October, November. It'd be nice to know if you were changing things up too much. I'm not really concerned about it. So we'll just continue to play that as we go. So, that's it.
For the good of the order,
Well, I think it's worth pointing out that I have a couple of soup friends that say that their board meetings take like 20 minutes. And I don't know how that's even possible. And I'm like, how do you even get through anything in 7 minutes?
You're up pretty good today.
But I do, I know, that's what I was like, we're in
Yeah,
an
that's
hour.
a good one.
So I'm taking that. I do have a couple of ideas though that I'm gonna present to you, at the June meeting, and some things that might speed it up a little bit. Don't feel pressure to take them. If you want them, great. If you don't want them, that's fine too. So.
Okay.
Ideas out there. I feel like we're pretty damn efficient as an
Turn the camera on.
Most of the time.
The camera's on, we go through.
Any announcements?
17 days.
Time from out.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. We're done. Thank you.
Good work. Passed the budget. Board meeting in under an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a successful week.